Welcome back to Boler Mountain in London, Ontario, and this Ontario Cup race for 1994. And what you're looking at there is Hill 2000. Of course, this is a ski hill, and not a bad place for these riders to be, I guess, Glenn, on this Saturday afternoon. There's our first rider, Mark Baker of London.
And he's taking off there. He's taking a little slow around the first corner. Some bad rain ruts there. He comes into the fast section down the access road.
Yeah, this is an access road for the new hill that is being built here at Boler Mountain, and the riders, a lot like the skiers, have to find the quickest way down the bottom of the hill here.
He's coming into a little rough section before he adds onto the grass piece there. This is a slow section. They want to be pedaling as fast as they can.
Speaking of that, how fast will some of these more elite riders race this afternoon through these sections and down the hill?
The quickest part of the course is actually the access road, and they'll get up over 60 kilometers an hour through there. And coming into this jump, Mark's got a good line. This double jump, he's got to set up for the second one before he hits the grass down at the bottom.
This is a very difficult course at different sections here, and the camera not lending a lot of the incline or the falls to it, but it certainly has a lot of ups and downs over this course.
This is actually one quick uphill section where they power through. They're really working hard through here as they come back into the woods, then out of the woods onto this main ski hill to finish.
Now give us a little bit of insight in terms of getting down this hill as quickly as possible as we watch Mark Baker turn for home here.
They're basically in the biggest gear they got, and they're going all the way. They come out of their seats. If they really want to push it hard, here he's going to sprint into the finish, see what kind of time he gets.
1:28.82, not a bad finish. First rider of the day down the hill, and now we go back up top, and there is our second rider, Robert Cox.
Rob's an elite cross-country rider, mainly. Downhill isn't his specialty. We'll see how he does through here. Slow through the first section. He'll try and pick it up down the road, I bet.
Now these races, on one day they race the downhill, the second day the cross-country. What is the biggest difference as far as the riders are concerned? What do they notice is the biggest difference?
Well, a cross-country race is an aerobic race, and it's about 2 hours in length. The downhill race is anywhere from a minute to 5 minutes. It's pure power all out as fast as they can. A lot of guts and a lot of speed.
A lot of guts for sure, as we'll see as we approach some of these hills here, and we've had some spills too.
Yeah, coming into this jump is a tough section. It's a double jump, as I mentioned. Riders take many different lines as they come over it.
Any specific key in terms of, you mentioned the rider can take pretty much any line they want over that hill and then through this section here.
Yeah, as they come into the woods here, they're going into the uphill section. They want to maintain as much speed as possible. Rob, again, being a cross-country rider, is going to try and maximize his speed through this section and try and hang on to it through the downhills.
Okay, Robert Cox, our second rider of the day, and he is turning for home here. The time to beat right now, Mark Baker of London, 1:28.82, the first rider.
Yeah, there Rob takes that corner kind of wide and almost slips out. He's going to try and make up some time again, powering through to the finish.
Speeding through to the finish line, he does it 1:28.21, so he beats Baker's time.
Oh, down on the fatigue there. It takes a little wipe out at the end.
All right, back up top, Jeff FAULDS.
Again, Jeff's mainly a cross-country rider. This is not downhill specialty, and he takes it slow through the first section. As you can see, the cross-country riders are going to be a little bit timid maybe and take it safe through the tricky sections on the jumps and stuff, but they'll make it up on the flats and a little uphill.
You talked about the bikes in the opening, and a lot of expense into these things, and they certainly are a lot different than what we just get out and ride every evening through the city streets.
Yeah, Jeff's riding a front suspension only bike, so he's only got suspension on the front forks. A lot of the other riders, the downhill specialists especially, will have a full suspension bike, both on the front and the rear. Here he's coming through a little ridge, which you can't see it too well in the film, but it slides off easy to the right, and you could slip off the course there.
And this is the hill we've talked about where riders are choosing different lines as they come down. Not a lot of speed by the looks of it over on that one.
No, he was trying to pick the most smooth line as opposed to going over and jumping off it. Without the rear suspension, you can't take a big bump on the rear wheel or it throws you off the bike.
And you mentioned guts, and coming over that hill through this flat section and then up over another hill, how important is it to decide before you get there what you're going to do?
All these riders looked over the course all morning, and they've been picking the right line, picking the line they want to take, and trying to figure out the best way to go. They've basically got the course memorized in their head, and they just want to take the best line that they could memorize.
All right, Jeff FAULDS around the final turn as he heads for home here, trying to beat Robert Cox at this point.
Again, a little sprint out of the saddle just to finish it off, get that last 1/100th of a second.
And he is in third place, 1:33.64, and our fourth rider right now is George COBHAN, and he's an elite rider as well.
Yeah, George is actually a junior, and he's a very aggressive all-out rider. There you can see he takes his foot out to keep the bike from sliding out from underneath him, and he's really out of the saddle here pushing. That's a good acceleration down there. Yeah.
Now, a junior rider, what's the biggest difference here for him as a junior rider over some of the more elite racers that have been in it for a couple of years?
Well, the junior riders haven't been hurt as much, so usually they're a little more aggressive. They haven't felt the pain that some of the older guys have. He's going fast through here. He's picking some good lines. George, again, used to be mainly cross-country, but he's getting more and more into the downhills. He's been competing up at the Canada Cup and World Cup races as well in the downhill. So speed coming into this jump.
And that's another thing that we should mention is that these riders aren't just out here for a Saturday afternoon. This is big-time stuff for a lot of these guys who are looking to move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, and George took a beautiful line down that jump, and he's really hammering across the flat section here. He's carrying a lot of speed into the woods, into that little uphill section here, and we'll see how he pulls through. There, he's out of the saddle. He's pushing very hard. That's great for a junior rider to be using his power like that.
A lot of speed through this section, too.
Yeah, even though it's a little uphill, they're still on the big ring, and they're pushing all the way. He's coming down the main hill into the finish now. And there again, he takes his foot out, keep the bike from sliding out like we saw that happen with Jeff. That's a little bit extra, listen to hang the corner a little more. And again, he's out of the saddle, pushing hard. We'll see what kind of time he gets.
For the finish, 1:28.62. Still not good enough. That was good enough for second place. Robert Cox, still our leader. And this is Marc COUSINEAU, another of Ontario's best riders.
Yeah, Mark's mainly a downhill specialist. He's from Ottawa. There's a number of people from Ottawa here today. He's pushing well through here. He's riding now a fully suspended bike. It's got suspension on the front and the rear, as we saw that Jeff explained to us. He's going to try and push through these fast sections, the little bumps, because it doesn't throw him off as much, so he can keep pedaling through there with their full suspension.
Now, do these guys like to walk the course, ride the course when they go place to place like this? Obviously, this is the first or second time many of these guys might have seen this course. Now, how would Marc COUSINEAU know what to do and what to expect?
Well, they'll walk the course forwards and backwards as well, so that you can see the jumps from the bottom up to the top and take a look at them. Here he's got a lot of speed coming into the jump. And, oh, whoa, he's off a little bit there. That was nasty. It's a good thing he's got rear suspension on that bike, and he's got his seat a little bit lower, too.
Spectators liking that, too.
Yeah.
And applauding that move.
The downhillers will have their seat just a little bit lower than a regular bike will, because it'll allow them a little more movement at the top without the seat getting caught in their thighs and whatnot. Mark's probably glad he had his seat a little bit low. He almost lost it there. Here he's trying to make up for that time. I think he's powering quite fast through there.
How much time would he lose on something like that could be affecting him?
A little bobble like that, maybe 1 or 2 seconds. Not too bad. Mainly it takes the nerve out of you. You're just trying to get your head back together and concentrate again. He's working well through here. He's probably got his head back. He's focusing on the finish.
And he's up off the seat there, kicking for home, and he's across 1:32.41. And of course, I suppose the bobble at the midsection might have caused a little trouble there.
Yeah, it will.
Mike HURST.
Mike's another junior, actually. He's from Ottawa as well. He's another good aggressive rider, focusing mainly on the downhill lately. He rides for Trek Weeder from Ottawa. And there he's powering through there. He's actually in a bit of a small gear. There he goes, into a bigger gear. He's pushing better now. You got to get that big gear. If you're spinning out too much, the bike skips around from underneath you.
This section here, the access road, really looks important as far as the top part of the course, making out what you can finish up at the bottom.
Yeah, that really sets up your speed for the whole course, especially this grass section. If you don't have the speed coming into the grass, it's hard to maintain it with all the little bumps in there. He's got some nice speed coming into the jump here. And that's a nice line through there. Just beautiful. Gets a little bit of air the last piece, maybe off into the grass, but held it very nicely. He's maintaining some speed, looking down, make sure his pedal's in right. He's going to try and power up.
Working hard there.
You got to pick the right gear for this top section. If you're in too big of a gear, you get too much power in your legs, you build up some lactic acid, and it slows you down. But there he's in a good gear, and again, pushing through quite hard.
Mike HURST out of Ottawa.
Oh, there Mike's down. Jeez,
he's down.
You think he caught his front wheel on some grass or sand? Yeah, he's going again. That's good. He doesn't lose too much time on that, but it is tough. That'll take 3 or 4 seconds out of your time there.
And as you mentioned, it could take the nerve out of him, but he is almost at the bottom section.
Yeah, he's coasting a bit through here. I expect him to pedal. Yeah, he is. He's coasting through. He might have hurt himself in that jump. We don't know, but he's just taking it easy down to the bottom. That'll lose him a lot of time. Hopefully, it'll get him into the first seed.
Yeah, 1:37.87, but you're right. It does look like he might be hurting a little bit after that spill. Back to the top, and this is Chris Stewart.
Here's another fully suspended bike, a nice rear rocker there on it. He took it a little easy around that corner. There's a tough rain rut down that first corner. The riders want to take it easy. Again, he's trying to clip into his pedal there to get some power back in his legs.
Using up a lot of speed to get down this section into the main part of the course.
The pedals these riders use are a little bit different. It's actually a bit like a mini ski binder they clip into, so they don't have a flat pedal. And you'll see some of the riders sometimes have trouble getting into the pedal again once the bike is moving around underneath them.
And you really know how hard these guys are working when you see them come to the bottom, and they're panting away. Of course, 1.1 kilometers this course, and none of it very flat. So
there's a very different line he's taking off to the side. He might have spec'd that out before and looked at the course and thought that was smoother than taking the main line that everybody else is taking. That's perfectly legal in this kind of race. As long as they're within the boundaries of the fencing, they're fine.
Could you see people using the different lines?
Yeah, they try and pick them out, and it's a matter of setting up before you hit it. Once you're on the line on a jump like that, you can't change it midair, so you got to pick it beforehand. He's a little slow through here, powering again down the seat. Most of the riders are out of the seat there. He might lose a little time here. He's not quite too aggressive through there. That uphill section is quite important.
These legs are always moving, though.
Yeah, and they're tired at the end, as you mentioned. It's, it's a minute and a half of full-out sprint, just like a sprinter on track and field.
Yeah. Well, he is headed for the home stretch, and again, Robert Cox is the man to beat right now, a time of 1:28.21. Chris Stewart will not eclipse that mark, at least in the first run, and we're back up to the top of the hill now, and Andre Gagnon out of Ottawa.
He's another guy that's focusing a lot on the downhill this year. He's Ottawa there. You can see how he took his foot out and hit that rain right a bit. Good thing he had his foot out there to catch him a bit. He's powering down well down this course. He's riding now just a front suspension bike. A lot of the guys we've seen lately have been full suspension, so he might be bobbling around a little bit more as the bike kicks up from underneath him. Doesn't absorb the shock quite as well.
He really looks to be moving, especially through this section here. Looks like he has a good speed up.
Yeah, actually he does. He has got a really nice speed through this grass. He's holding a really nice line. This is a bumpy section through there. They get to pick their line, and they come along that ridge. They got to be careful because they could slip off that ridge and it put them right out of the race.
And Mike Hurst was able to at least get back up and get back into the race. He'll be around for the second ride.
Whoa, little jump there. That was nice. He's feeling very confident on that downhill.
So.
A lot of riders are just trying to hang on, and he's flipping it around, having a little fun on this day. That's great riding from Andre.
A little bit of showmanship and having some fun, as you mentioned.
Got to keep the spectators happy. Gets everybody hooting and hollering. Here he is powering through that little uphill section coming into the grass. Hopefully nobody else takes a little spill where Mike did. He's got a lot of speed through there and a little bit of braking. That's good. Good work for him. Anticipates that corner, and he's coming down
the seat too.
Yeah.
Working hard.
Oh, he took that last corner quite sharp, hit a little bit of sand there. There's some nice little sand traps on this hill. The rider's got to be aware of them.
Feel good about this time. He has been working hard, and 1:28.21, he beats it.
Oh, 1:26.41, that's a great time.
A great time, and this is Marc Fredette. Could be the guy to beat here.
Yeah, Marc Fredette, again, he's very much this year a downhill specialist. He's from Ottawa as well. Actually, Marc, COUSINEAU, and Andre Gagnon and Marc Fredette all travel together. They're good buddies, and they push each other quite well. They're trying to beat each other. If there's anybody that's going to beat that time, but Andre, which is really good, it'll be Marc. He'll be pushing all the way through. There he keeps his foot out of the pedal just to catch him if his rear wheel slides a little bit. He's riding a Specialized FSR full suspension bike. Quite a nice bike, good for this kind of course. Good in the wide open, fast downhills, tracks really well.
He has a lot of speed up, just like Andre Gagnon down the same section.
That's really faster. That's nice. Here we come into the jump, and that's a smooth line through there. Beautiful. Well in control. Well in control. Hanging on the corners a little bit. You can see he pre-jumped some of those little bobbles on the grass. He's read the course really well, memorized where the extra jumps are and little bumps are, so he can accelerate over them.
Now these guys have no idea of knowing what the other riders ahead of them have done, so he doesn't know that the time to beat is under 1:27.
Yeah, I don't think it would matter. They just go all out. They haven't got that much of a clock in their head, but they do know when they're fast, that's for sure.
And he's into the home stretch here around the final turn. You can see the leg out again.
Yeah, a little bit wide in that corner, but pretty good. And he's powering through the finish.
Whoa, there's the time, 1:25.58. So there you have Marc Fredette, the leader after the first run, and he will definitely be among those in the second seed. We'll be back with more from Boler after this. And Boler Mountain for this Ontario Cup mountain bike downhill race, and they are just getting set for the second run, Glenn, as they get prepared. The winner of the first run was Marc Fredette, 1:25.47 was his first run, and they are just going to go in reverse order here.
Yeah, we seed him off the first run for the second run, and these best riders will get the most attention from the crowd. Here's Mark Baker starting, again riding a full suspension bike. Again, he comes a little slow through that first corner, that big rain rut he's watching out for and setting up, but he's working very well down this road. There he's picking up some speed. You can see the dirt just flying off that rear tire as they're going through there, and gets a little bump.
Now, what kinds of things will they know after having been down this once at the first speed that they came down now, and knowing what kinds of changes they might have to do to shave a second or two?
Well, on the practice runs, will never go as fast as they did when in a timed real competition run. So now he really knows where the important parts of the course are and really how to pick up some speed. He's going very well through this piece, coming some good speed into that downhill. They'll have a lot more confidence into this jump as well.
Now, Mark Baker out of London, one of the locals in the top seeds here.
Yeah, he takes the main line down that downhill, and that was pretty smooth, one of the smoothest ones down that main line we've seen so far, and he's going to keep trying to power into the woods here, keep up his speed.
Might as well go for it all now, down to the final run.
This is it. They got everything they can. This is the end of the day. He's going to be powering through there, working his legs as hard as he can, out of the saddle, pushing through. He's got to watch the sand here. One of the previous riders took a little spill.
Mike Hurst fell, as we saw earlier today, and he's through that.
He's very well through there, and he's got it. Now he's just got to finish it off. The last 100 meters or so around this one corner, you can see he doesn't take his foot out of the pedal like some of the other riders do, and he took that corner a little wide.
He looks like he's riding a good race here, and he is across 1:25.49, so that beats Freddette's time.
That's a great time. Best time so far in the second run.
That could be tough to beat. Andre Gagnon now is just out of the gate as we see him getting his bike ready.
You can see Andre balancing on that bike. He wants to keep both feet clipped in the pedals before the start, as opposed to having clipping in after the start. There he does, take his foot out, watching that rain rut, keeping the rear wheel well on the ground. Here he should be out of his saddle, pushing a little harder. There, he's having a little bit of trouble getting clipped in, but he's not out of the saddle. He should be pushing a little quicker through this section. Still some good speed. See the dust flying off the rear wheel there.
And Andre needs to shave about a half second off his first run. He was 1:26.41.
He was really close to Mark Freddette, and he's got some good speed through this grass section. Again, coasting a little bit there. He seems a little bit slower on this, not like he's sure where he wants to go on this line.
He is coming up to the bump now and the hill.
Let's see what kind of line he took. He took a different line last time. And again, he's off to the side on that one, but that's a nice smooth line for him. That's good. You'll see sometimes where he has to coast because he's on not a full suspension bike, but front only. He can't pedal as fast through the bumps because it pushes him off his bike a little bit. Caught a little bump on the one grass section there.
Got off into the grass and then lost his left foot for a second.
There he is. He's working hard through here. This is good. Again, one problem with or good thing about the non-rear suspension bike is you can pedal a little bit harder on the flats like that.
Okay, Andre Gagnon just into the final turn here.
Oh, that's a good corner there. Very well. Took it tight and hung it on. That's great.
Got to get going. 1:25.49, the time to beat, and he doesn't do it. 1:27.79, but of course his time. His best time is 1:26.41. That's the one they will use to seed him at the end of the day.
Here comes one of our favorites now, Mark Freddette, fastest rider from the first run. Again, balancing, wanting to stay clipped in right from the start.
And as we said earlier, if there's someone that's going to beat the top time right now, this guy should be the one.
That was a nice first corner there. That was really good. He's got a power. Oh, he's got a problem there with his pedal. Yeah, he can't get in his pedal. See, he's going to lose some time down there. There he's taken off. There he put the power to it. But that's going to cost him a little bit there. Got his foot out of his pedal, couldn't power down that access road. They should be reaching speeds over 60 an hour there, and he was probably just a little bit slow. Geez, he's really powering now. He knew he lost some time. He's going to try and make it up through here. The one advantage of a full suspension bike on a downhill is you can pedal through the rough pieces.
Power in those legs, though, as you could see him after he finally got the pedal kicked in.
See what kind of line he takes here? That's different than he did the first time, but still a good smooth line from him. He knows how to take those downhills really well. Again, see, he knows this course. He pre-jumps some of the bubbles in the course to make it smoother and keep it powering.
His mishap at the top, could that take some of the, I suppose, dare out of him on this midsection?
It's just on the flat section. He's not too worried about it, but it does lose some speed. But here he's working really hard. You see the sand spinning up there.
And Freddette is now into the home stretch of this big race.
Yeah, these last couple corners are crucial. There he goes. He's just coasting in a little bit to set up for this corner. And that's a nice corner. What a beautiful line he took through there. Held it on really nice and tight.
Now he kicks it in. Heads for the finish line. And his time, 1:23.47, a great ride.
That's an excellent time. It's actually 2 seconds faster than his fastest run from the first seed.
Wow, what a race. And there is your champion from today, Mark Freddette out of Ottawa. We'll be back to talk to him and wrap up this big Ontario Cup bike downhill race right after this.
We have Mark Freddette from Ottawa. He's riding for Specialized. He's the best time of the day in time of 1:23. Mark, how was your run?
Really good. I was very pleased with it. Everything performed well, except for at the top. I had a little problem with my pedal. I couldn't get clipped in. quickly enough, but it turned out good, I guess.
That's pretty good. You beat your first time by 2 seconds. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, Mark. And that wraps this Ontario Cup race here at Boler Mountain. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.